Hi traders, welcome to the live webinar with Admiral Markets. My name is Chris and today's webinar is focused on candlesticks at support or resistance. We're going to be taking a look, of course, at the live charts to do that. But before we dive into today's price action, be aware of these two disclaimers. The first one explains the fact that this live webinar may not be suitable for everyone, but it is shown to a global audience. To find out if it is suitable for you, please select your country of residence and contact an appropriate entity to find out if it is okay for you. All right. And second of all, please note that trading for exchange and global financial markets is considered high risk. Please seek the advice of an independent financial advisor for more information on that. This webinar is for informational and educational purposes only. By continuing watching this webinar, you agree with this disclaimer and you are aware of the risk involved when trading. Alrighty, thank you for your attention on that. Yeah, thank you, Dushan. I'm doing fine. Cats are doing splendid as well, both of them, and they are enjoying the heating at the moment, as always, I guess, in these cold days. But soon it was going to be a bit better weather over here. How are you doing? Hope everyone had a good weekend. For more info before we start with our webinar, it could be good to take a look at admiralmarkets.com. All right. After the webinar, you can find out, first of all, more info about Admiral Markets, also how you can start trading, what you can trade, how you can trade, and more info about analyzing charts and understanding charts through education and analytics. All right, so a lot of good info here. Just to give you an example, for instance, we can click on Market Heatmap, one of my favorite tools, see what kind of volatility we have in the market, ups and downs regarding instruments. Here you can see red, green squares indicating the winners and losers. Then if we go lower, we see volatility. Pound CAD was one of the trades I am in, and is one of the better volatility ones. Kind of looks a little bit funny, the shape of the chart here, with a long extended neck here with Euro Yen, big mover, Euro CAD, Pound Yen too. Regarding currency ranges, we can see yen, interesting. Typically the pound, dollar also rising a little bit compared to its average. Quite a decent currency range for Monday. All right, or for Monday/Tuesday. All right, with that said, yeah, time to move on and take a look at these charts. All right, we're looking at MT4 Supreme Edition help via this mini terminal, via the MetaTrader 4, 5, and 5, I should say, Supreme Edition plugin with the pivot points and the Keltner channel, and just a simple moving average. So basically, exponential moving average. So basically, with the euro dollar, we saw last week a bounce, right, roughly in this zone, as you can see, and that could be still part of a bigger wave 5, in my view, bullish wave 5, and this could be the start of that bullish wave 5. Now, if we zoom in, you can see the potential for a 5 wave to be completed. I thought actually the 5 waves was already completed here, but it actually still made one more upside. Now, at this point, I would consider the fact that the 5 waves is completed a pretty decent probability. Price is also at the R1. So I think there's a good chance that the price might make an ABC pattern back to support, back to the weekly pivot point, maybe just a little bit below that, around that zone, and then continue with this uptrend. That's my main kind of expectation for the moment. So with that said, what are the most interesting trades? I'm not interested in shorting it as much as here, because although it is a bouncing spot, looking at this price action candlestick, it is a little bit, I think, risky to trade against that. Why? Because the candle close is near the high. Bulls are fully in control of this candle. So I think that is not a good sign to trade a reversal at this moment. So, but would I trade upwards? No. I wouldn't want to trade that either because I see that 5 waves have been completed. So it might push a little bit higher, but ultimately I would expect that ABC to take place. So both up and down do not seem interesting to me, at least at this moment. What does seem interesting though is that once and if it does make a retracement, well, if I guess is a bad word, it will always make a retracement at one point, but when it makes a retracement, I would like to see price probably here at the 50 fib weekly pivot point. I would probably go with a stop loss below this bottom, and I would be aiming for 124.80, 125.25, and maybe even 127.50. Sorry, 125.75. And it could go even higher, right? As I said, even 127.50. So specifically, if it falls, bounces, and falls, that would complete an ABC, and then we see bullish candlestick patterns around this area here. All right, then I would be looking for a long setup there with those targets and that stop loss in mind. We're looking for continuation. Other option could be to wait for a breakout of this resistance trend line and trade it around here. That could be also one way of trading it. Another way could be to put a pending order there rather than a market order. Same stop loss, but the difference is that you're not waiting for any reaction of candles in that area. There's pros and cons. We've talked about this many times, but if you're new in here, advantage is that you get the entry right at that spot. Disadvantage is that price might go deeper. So that if you wait, you might actually enter at a better spot. Disadvantage with waiting for candles is that basically when you get a downside candle like this and you get a bullish candle, of course, price is already a bit higher again than the actual zone. But the advantage is that there is actually evidence that price is reacting to that zone. So it really depends on how much I like a setup, whether I go for market or pending order. Obviously, with the pending order, I really need to like to trade more than with just an average ordinary trade. Then in that case, it could be good to wait for confirmation. Where you draw that border, that really depends from trader to trader and how you feel comfortable with trading any of these particular styles. That really is very individual. So you got to test that, try on the demo, go to admiralmarkets.com, open a demo account, and just try these things out and see, which works well, which do you feel comfortable with. That's really the best. All right, so that's my view. I mean, there are a couple of key points I can add besides this is what I expect and this is what I would like to trade, but sometimes things don't go as expected, right? So what would change things? Well, basically if price breaks below this bottom, right, that would make, for me, a likelihood of a bearish trend more logical, because we have then in that case probably wave 1, 2 and a bearish wave 3 going on. That would be in a validation level of a bullish upside. That's also why I would place my stop loss. If price breaks above this top, then this is not a bearish wave 1, 2 anymore. We know that in that case as well. So yeah, price might continue above that top, maybe to 127.50 or close to it. And otherwise, yeah, that's about it, I guess. Very important to see how price falls here, because if it makes like a 3-wave pattern like this, then yeah, it's probably more of an ABC, which would indicate more upside. Alrighty, so let me check what Dushan is saying. Last week we both traded dollar CAD. That's a funny story, Dushan. Yeah, that I hope next time we're on the same boat and we both have a win-win indeed. Dushan is telling a little bit of a story where he was selling, I was buying. I won the setup, he lost. Then it was the other way around, and I lost the setup, and Dushan would have won on that setup, but his limit order was just missed there, so that's a bit unfortunate. But it's a funny story how we're exact like mirror images there. Let's take a look at the pound dollar. There we go. Oh, that doesn't work. Let me just open this again. And then close it. All right, there we go. Yeah, pound dollar basically, I had in my wave analysis that it's looking like a wave 1, 2, 3, 4. That did prove to be right. So this did prove to be a dip within a larger uptrend. And if you're wondering where that wave analysis is, you just have to go to idlemarkets.com, click on analytics, then click on wave analysis, and you'll see the newest of the day. So anyone who took a setup here, I think is doing well. Nanette was one of those traders that went long on the pound dollar today. Around here, maybe my wave analysis helped, I'm not sure. But in any case, that's what he did, and he made some good pips there as a continuation. Now I think that here too, as I take one sip of my coffee still after lunch, I think that I'm not sure if this wave 5 is finished, but I think we will get into a spot where 5 waves is finished, and we have an ABC to the downside too. If not here, then maybe a little bit higher, like around this trend line. And that could create some correction. And I wouldn't be surprised if we get a bounce around the weekly pivot point. We have a left shoulder, a right shoulder in that case, and a head. All right, and that seems like the most likely to me, to be honest. Up, 3-wave down, up, correction, break. So I'll just leave this drawing for the moment, and you can take a look and observe and absorb, I guess. But yeah, does it have to happen exactly like this? No, but this is what I would expect. What trades are interesting? Let me mark that with green. From my point of view, this one is definitely the most interesting one, the breakout. But the second one could be the bounce after a 3-wave correction. So you can see a little bit more patience from my side before I get the setups that I think are interesting. All right, so let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if price breaks out of this channel right now, because this is a pretty narrow channel, pretty mild channel, and that price breaks above it, then kind of hooks back to the bottom of it, or just a little bit below it even, and then makes the breakout. Alrighty, now such a pity, because I was looking at, actually yesterday I was still skeptical about the euro yen, pound yen upside, and this morning I changed my mind, because specifically on the euro yen I liked it a little bit more because the euro pound was moving up. And let me take a look at that euro yen then first of all. But I missed the trade. Yeah, those things sometimes happen. Sometimes I'm looking for price action, and not that it happens that often, but yes, it can happen that you wait for a certain price action signal and the trade runs away, literally runs away from you. And that happened with me in the euro yen today, and it really doesn't happen that often. But sometimes, specifically with reversal trades like that, yes, it can happen, especially if the reversal's fast. And because it's a reversal, then after you get a fast move, there's not much space left. So there are all these kind of extra things that come into play. And yeah, sometimes you can miss a reversal like that. yes, I was looking for, after this strong price action here, I was looking for a pullback and definitely seriously considering on the euro yen along. I like the euro yen more. Dollar yen also was making this motion, and pound yen. I like the euro yen the most of, and when compared to dollar yen, pound yen, because of the euro side looked stronger than the dollar, looked stronger than the pound, but the yen looked like it was weakening when looking at all three pairs. Now, it was a counter trend trade, so I'm always a little bit more cautious with that, and that kind of like made me miss this trade, I guess. But as I always say, missing a trade, I think, is not that big of a deal. It happens. I don't really get too annoyed by it, to be honest, or not at all nowadays. But I can imagine that some traders would, and I certainly did in the past. But these things happen, in my view, at least. And the analysis was correct, though. It did make an ABC correction. This is what I was looking for, basically. I mean, I was hoping for a little bit deeper, maybe, but more importantly, though, was the fact that this was not that great of a 1 hour candle, and then we got this massive 1 hour candle. Right? So it's kind of pushed away from that zone too soon, plus this 4 hour candle was quite bearish, so the signals there were a little bit mixed. If this 4 hour candle would have been a little bit less bearish, would have helped as well. Regarding the 4 hour world, regarding the 1 hour world, if this 1 hour candle would have been a little bit bigger, I would have also been more tempted to potentially take that trade. So kind of like a mixture of two factors where like 4 hour chart and 1 hour candles are both kind of difficult ones. So yeah, you can see that sometimes candles price action can be tricky too, but in most cases I find it quite beneficial. Tushan also missed that trade, also was a bit scared because of the counter trend setup, and yeah, me too. I definitely was a bit looking for a little bit more cautious and a little bit more extra attention to these candles because it is counter trend indeed. Despite this break, despite the divergence, those were all good things, right? And it hit if you start to look at the fibs, it hit a very key fib zone here. So that, of course, also makes a retracement likely, and on the daily chart, we also had a very good bullish candle, by the way, yesterday. So those were a couple of things that were good for the euro yen. Now, at this moment, let's see. There probably could be 5 ways finished too. We'd like to see an ABC and would be expecting continuation. Let's take a look at quickly at, sorry, wrong button here, the pound yen again. Pound yen looks like the same structure as euro yen, so we'll not spend too much time on that. Dollar yen, looks similar to dollar yen, hasn't made a higher high as yet, which if it doesn't make a higher high could still be a wave 4. Like this could be wave 1, 2, 3, 4, and down it goes for 5. That could still happen. Of course, that would change if price breaks above the R1. So yen was weakening here with this upside, but on the dollar yen, we're still kind of on the edge here. Is it going to break below basically this support like this, or is it going to break above resistance? That's going to be important for the long term. Let's take a look at pound New Zealand now, and if you have any particular pair or instrument for that matter in mind, let me know. We can take a look at some stock indices, for instance, as well. Of course, let me know if you have a preference. In the meantime, I'm trying to find pound New Zealand, and I'm not succeeding. And it's probably because it's lower. Let me click show all. There we go. New Zealand is a little bit in a nasty correction at this moment. Yeah, it's resistance trend line, support trend line here, support trend line here. Right? A lot of kind of levels to think about here. Yeah, that's difficult stuff with this pair, to be honest. If you look at the Keltner channel, pretty much flat. Prices are right around that middle of that channel. It's been bouncing back and forth around that. So it doesn't seem to have much steam. It doesn't seem to have much energy either way. It's really corrective at this point. Could be difficult to find trades here, I think. But yes, if it breaks one of these support or one of these trend lines, there could be a breakout. Now it's going back to support roughly in this zone, so it could be a bouncing spot too. Now, because of the choppy and quite difficult price action here, it's not an easy trade to take because price might break a little bit above it and then below it and then still bounce back up. So that's a little bit tricky because you're still having kind of like lower lows here, you see? Or at least twice here. Here's more like double bottom. So although price is getting at a support zone, it's not that easy to trade this bounce. I think waiting for price action is needed, but I'm not sure if that's even enough because of the quite corrective zone we've had here, for instance, and the ups and downs we've seen so far. So it would have to be a very strong candlestick pattern for me to think about longs to the upside. Now shorts, it's possible perhaps too, right? If we get a breakout, but for a breakout to occur, I will need to see probably tomorrow. I don't think it'll happen today because that will require the candle to be really mega big. But if it happens tomorrow, like there's a big breakout candle pushing below it, yes, I would think about a pullback continuation then to the downside. It could be something to think about. So for the moment, more bullish bounce territory, but I need pretty solid candles there or breakout to the downside, but with daily candles. All right, so hope that makes sense. Let me know, Mocha, if there's any follow up. All right, I hope you said that name correctly, Mocha. And dollar CAD, we can take a look at that. Dushan was talking about the dollar CAD. How is the weather, by the way, Mocha and Dushan in Croatia? Is it getting a little bit? Is spring soon on its way? Dollar CAD and oil, we can combine those. Those are correlated and connected, so makes sense to look at both. Let's start with the dollar CAD first. All right, yeah, one of the setups I took was actually a breakout somewhere, I don't know, somewhere in here, I think. And then I actually took to the upside, and then I actually took a trade to the downside here. I'm not sure why I took that one. That was a reversal trade. It didn't work out well. It was a little bit risky, that one. But anyhow, it looks like there's a good chance that this is a wave 3. And if that's the case, because price is breaking above these tops here, so this could be a wave 3. This could be wave 2. If this is a wave 3, we're probably looking at the wave 3 of 3, because this is a wave 1, 2, and this is a wave 3. Now we had some bearish price action here. Let's get rid of this fib. Still snow. Yeah, we had still snow too. It's funny because today is snow, but Saturday is going to be plus 14 already. So it's pretty funny. But that's good. That's good news. So I don't know if this wave 3 is finished. I think it's too soon. I would probably think it's the wave 3 of 3 that might be finished. 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, there we go. So this could be a wave 4, which means that price typically would not retrace deeper than the 50, and 38 could also be a bouncing. There's typically a bouncing spot. So I would expect price to bounce somewhere in here. Will it happen? We never know. But this does seem likely to me. This does look like a retracement within uptrend. Now, if it breaks below the 50 fib, well, then things are changing a little bit. Something else is going on, than what I expect, at least. And it could be that this is a wave 3. It would be a little bit early, in my view. But that could be an alternative. But for the moment, I'm going to keep the fib here. All right, let's move on and take a look at the oil. Let me renew this template. Price is approaching 144 EMA close. It is right at Keltner high. Let's put a fib from here to here. Minus 61.8 hit right there. Looks like it's potential for price to make a new downside, but it's difficult to say if it's going to be now, because this could still be a wave 3, and up it goes. This upside could be a wave 3 right here. This could be a wave 4, and up it goes for a wave 5. Alternatively, it could be an A, B, C, or a bigger 1, 2, 3 going down. So far, price stopped at the 38.2 fib, so that actually is a bullish kind of sign. So let's see if it breaks above the R1 and this resistance. There could be a breakout. Alternatively, if it breaks below this particular support line, there we go. Then, a reversal or at least a bigger retracement is also likely. So I think these two lines are going to be key. for the next step on oil, I think that will be something to keep in mind. Anyone who's looking to trade, I'm not really trading oil, but if I would, I'll be looking for probably a daily candle below. It's a good close, need a low, and close below the S1 probably. Upside, I would probably require a 4-hour candle to break above the R1 and trend line. Yeah, that's probably 4-hour chart. Just thinking. Probably 4-hour chart. Daily, maybe. Both could be good to keep an eye on. All right, so let's move on. Let's see. Next one. Let's take a look at DAX, maybe. Maybe some of you want to take a look at stock index. Could be good to switch a little bit to the view. Let's take a look at DAX. Here we go. There we go. All right, so grand uptrend. It does look like 5 waves could be completed. I don't want to be basically, sounding alarm bells too soon, but if this is completing a wave 4, a 5, it could be a correction, and depends, of course, what kind of correction. If this is a wave 3, then next step could be a wave 4. That doesn't have to be too strong of a correction. In fact, in that case, we can put a fib from here to here, like this, and that correction could go to this fib, this fib, this fib. So some downside could therefore be possible if this is a wave 4. Alternatively, this could also be an ABC, and in that case, we might see an ABC back. Now, it doesn't seem that likely at this moment, considering the strong upside, but theoretically still possible. So, and of course, last but not least, this could still be within a wave 5. On the lower time frame, we could be looking at a wave 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Looks like a wave 5 of 5 is finished, but you never know. Sometimes it pushes further. And this is a wave 1, 2, this is a 3, this is a 4, and up goes for 5. So from that perspective, we can put a fib from here to here, right? And a wave 4 would indeed bounce around this area. So it'll be interesting to see how price responds to that zone. If it breaks below that, a bigger correction seems likely, and a wave 5 of 5 could have been completed here. All right, for the moment, price is going sideways. After that strong fall, here it's going sideways. So it's a little bit tricky environment for DAX, I think. But ultimately, these are pretty strong candles. So to me, the price action itself is looking more bearish at this moment. I wouldn't be surprised if we see a slightly bigger correction lower, but that could happen after a while. The price might go sideways first, or might make a deeper zigzag, then hit resistance and move down. It doesn't have to do that immediately, but considering this, for the moment at least, it looks a little bit more bearish. Now, that's not necessarily the same for S&P 500, Nasdaq, or Dow Jones. All right, the S&P 500 made a heftier upside, as you can see, so it looks more like a triangle. Now, that triangle could break to the downside too, but it looks also like it could break to the upside. So it's a little bit more neutral. Nasdaq, that's even more different because it's actually looking like a ascending wedge in a way, right? It's threatening to break that top. Dow Jones also looks like a triangle, pretty much the same as S&P 500. FTSE more look like the DAX. And the French 40 more like the DAX. You can see it's pretty similarities there. And in Japan, following the DAX, right? So that's maybe not so surprising. So those are some of the differences there. Gold, let's take a look. All right, so that breakout to the downside did not look too encouraging. We had a good candle here, but the follow through encountered a wick. So yeah, that is sending this back up a little bit earlier than I expected. And it looks like a support level that wasn't able to be broken. So that is a little bit worrying for the bears like myself, and is giving, I think, more weight to a potential bullish breakout, in fact, because this is now starting to look like a sideways zone. And as price moves sideways like this, there's a bigger chance it will continue break and continue higher. Like Katowice, so like Moica. I'm bad in C's and S's. I'm trying to pronounce it in Czech, and I always mix these C's up because Czech has hooks, and so you have the C, you have a C with a hook, you have an S, you have an S with a hook, and you have CH, I guess. No, you have some other Z and a Z and a hook. And so I'm like totally lost with these types of. And then we have an R with a hook as well, by the way. Yeah, so that's quite tough for me, to be honest. I'm doing my best though, but sometimes it's a little bit of a tongue twisters for me. Uh, and your name is way 1,000 times simpler than what I encounter in Czech, of course, by the way. So, but yeah, I do like to speak a little bit at least. And one day I really want to study more and know it almost fluently at least. Now I'm about halfway, I guess. Yes, exactly. Letters can be a bit dizzying sometimes. Wrong button there. Let's take a look. What else can we take a look at? Does anyone have inspiration for something? I know we were looking at some CFDs, right? A few weeks ago. We haven't done that in a while. Let's take a look what's going on with that. I didn't prepare anything with regard to CFDs, so let's just randomly pick something, see and take a look and analyze a little bit. Maybe, I don't know, does anyone have a preference? All right. Yeah, it's pretty much the same as S&P 500, right? Also looking like in a triangle at the moment. Pretty tough spots for these indices. definitely, I think we're going to have to probably look at the fundamentals as well for the long-term picture to see, how much upside this has before some correction, some bigger correction will occur. This is already some correction here, just like all the indices, but will there be another leg? I'm leaning towards yes, but I, don't want to be too bearish too soon. I tend to be that with stock indices, so I know my own bias sometimes. Let's take a look at, I don't know. Okay, let me just choose what we were looking at last time, which is Amazon. Yeah, Amazon is really, since we started looking at this, really on a pursuit of no return almost. I think we were looking somewhere in here. If I remember, I don't know where we started to look at. I might be wrong. It might have been later, but yeah, maybe this 1,000 level. Otherwise, I guess we started looking around 1,100. It's made it all the way to the 1,500 at this moment. It's been, I mean, if you can imagine it, just 3 years ago. Yes, 3 years ago, it was still at below 300. Quite a spectacular run on Amazon. This spot does not look like a good spot, though, I think. Let's see if something else is going on. Twitter. Also, a bit difficult to trade this one. Let's see if we can find a more suitable setup, perhaps. Looks a little bit too bearish for me. And this is, I mean, a very quick analysis, of course, but you can see German firms having a little bit of more struggle at this moment. This could be maybe interesting. It is above the broken resistance trend line. Good momentum prior to that. Looks like it's making consolidation, going sideways like this, headed back to support. Of course, on this time frame, we can see a lot of choppiness. So we have to really look at the very long-term picture here because, of course, price has been going sideways for almost a year. But that said, it's back at support. If there's some bullish pin bar, could be a little bit of a discount on that one. But yeah, it is the wind is a little bit out there of the trend. Now, I would expect, because of this momentum, that to continue, but that is a little bit of a risky factor there still. All right, anyhow. Oh, here's some more. Sorry. Let's see. This could be interesting, maybe. It's in a triangle. Maybe if it gets back to support. Could be another bounce. Alrighty. Let's take a look at few more currency pairs, maybe one more currency pair, and then I guess we will wrap it up. Anyone have a particular preference here? One currency pair. Thinking which one could be the best. Oh, that's possible too. Let's take a look at that. S&P. There we go. Let me renew this template. There we go. Pretty good bull run indeed. Does look like it's at the long-term moving average. So far, the long-term moving average has held for ever since the Great Recession. But I do think it will, there's that generally it will follow, of course, typically the entire stock market. So it's really important to see how Nasdaq, Dow Jones, S&P 500, if they can make a higher high. If they could, I think that this is a decent discount, it's a decent bouncing spot. But there's always the risk that the market might, as I think it could, make a bigger correction. In that case, there's always this potential, of course. But yeah, it looks like a decent pullback. And yesterday looked like a pretty good bullish candle. The only thing I would pay attention to is the stock indices to see, do we get that legs up or not, and the leg up continuation, and also when price does, if it does move up, how does it respond specifically to this zone right here? All right, because yeah, that entire zone could be resistance if it makes your head and shoulders. So that is a particular sensitive area probably where price might turn at, and it could be good to reduce the risk to zero, preferably move the trail stop loss, because in that case we don't want to get, I think that it would be good to avoid getting stuck as this goes down, if it goes down. My 2 cents at least. All right, so that's about it. I guess we'll be back, let's see, today's Tuesday, tomorrow, with Nenet's live webinar on trading, B2. Thursday, we have education, but in the mornings, by the way, you have extra trading ideas, 10 a.m. GMT time, short webinars, 50 minutes as well. So plenty of stuff to look forward to. As I said already at the beginning, of course, feel free to check out admiralmarkets.com for more information. Some of these tools and indicators, if you are visible from the Supreme Edition, so you can check that out. There are a lot more available though than I showed you. So just feel free to look at MetaTrader Supreme Edition for all of that. And of course, check out other things if you're here. Why not? Analytics, education, and start trading. You can set up a demo and test some of these ideas if you like. See how that works on the demo account. Most welcome, Simut. Good, happy that you were here, and looking forward to see everyone tomorrow or perhaps next week. Right? Wish you all good trading. Cheers.